Let's look at the other side. Let's look at savings. We can do the same thing here. We'll go quickly. We can average out how much we save according to our income. So you got that APS, yeah, like the APC. Now, it's the average propensity to save, right? So if I gave you an income, this is how much you would tend to save. The formula for this is APS equals S over Y, right? So basically doing the same thing, the same functions, just, sort of backwards. So there's the savings function. It's got a clever name after the consumption function. It's replaced consumption with savings. And that little s, remember little c, now it's a little s, as the marginal propensity to save, the MPS. Right? So that's the fraction of our income that we save. And because of the fact, you can read their ridiculous assumption that we're either saving or spending, our savings function is just the opposite of the consumption function. Right? So if you can remember one, you can remember the other. Right? So for this person, for this guy who's spending 95% of any income that he makes, the savings function is minus 200 plus 0.05y. That minus is there for a good reason, and so is a 0.05y. It's just a negative of the autonomous consumption. So if you're if you're spending $200, even though you don't have any income, then you're eating into your savings. That's minus 200 of your savings that's going there, right, into spending. So that makes sense. And the other side makes sense as well, because 100% as a fraction is 1. And we already had 0.95, so it's just 1 minus 0.95. Maybe, but 100 minus 95%, 5% left. Right, so 0.05 is just 5%. So let's do the same thing. And we can do that much faster. We can build the top one. But then we're going to bring some lines down. Right, so we can build the savings version of this, the savings graph. And the savings one's a bit different because you see the line is sort of like a T, sort of sideways T. And there's a good reason for that, because everything below that line is dissaving, whatever that is. And everything above it is saving. Right? So there's no more 45-degree line. We just have a straight line. We have a 90-degree line there. And they're the same points. Right? They're the same break-even point. It's just a different way of showing this graph. Now you can see the slope of it's a lot, more shallow, because the last one's pretty steep. This one's like this because it starts at 200, at minus 200, obviously. And then it builds up to $4,000 of income. And anything along that line is saving. But remember, this guy's only saving 5 cents out of every dollar. He's only saving $5 out of every 100. So it takes him a long time to break even. And this shows breaking even much more easily. Yeah. So you can see, to make that $300 saving, it's $300 above the line. Yeah. And those are two graphs that you really need to know. Last thing, very last thing. It's covered briefly a while back, but just so you know, the APC and APS, they have to equal 1 by definition. Same with the MPC and MPS. Why? Because this is assuming that you either spend or save your income. So you get income, you're either going to spend it or save it. As a decimal, 100% is the number 1, 1.00. Right? So if the MPC was 0.6, the MPS has to be 0.4. If the APC was 0.9, the APS has to be 0.1. Just add them up to 1. It's pretty straightforward.